She travelled 6,000 miles to start what she thought would be a life with the love of her life. Instead, it ended with her laying in a bed, stabbed in the chest and neck over 90 times. The dream was simple, or so it seemed on a smartphone screen. Ashley Wadsworth was 19 years old, vibrant and filled with a kind of adventurous spirit that often feels invincible in youth. From her home in Vernon, British Columbia, she looked across the Atlantic towards Chelmsford, Essex, where Jack Seapool waited. They had met on a dating app, a digital spark that Ashley believed was the start of a lifelong flame. In late 2021, she boarded a plane, travelling thousands of miles to be with a man she barely knew, fuelled by the optimism of a 6-month tourist visa. But the reality of the small flat on Tennyson Road was a far cry from the romantic escape she had envisioned. Early 2022, the vibrant girl her family knew was fading. Neighbours reported the sounds of volatile arguments echoing through the thin walls. Ashley's social media, once a window into her excitement, began to show cracks. She was isolated, her world shrinking to the dimensions of a bedroom she shared with a man whose obsession was curdling into something lethal. Those close to her began to receive frantic messages. She wanted to come home. She had even moved her flight forward, desperate to escape a situation that had transitioned from a fairy tale into a cage. She never made it to the airport. On the afternoon of the 1st of February 2022, the tension inside the flat reached its gruesome breaking point. Emergency services were called to the scene after neighbours reported a domestic disturbance. When police forced entry, they were met with a scene of clinical horror. Ashley lay on the bed, her body subjected to a frenzied and sustained physical assault. Jack was found on the same bed, casually scrolling on his mobile phone as if the carnage surrounding him was merely background noise. The forensic details paint a picture of terrifying brutality. Ashley had been stabbed and slashed multiple times in the chest and neck. The sheer number of wounds, estimated at over 90, spoke not just of a killing, but of an explosion of possessive rage. The autopsy confirmed the cause of death as multiple stab wounds to the chest, a clinical description for a death that was likely terrifying and prolonged. There was no mercy in that room, only the cold, sharp reality of a knife and a man who's refused to let his possession leave. Jack Seapool eventually pleaded guilty, spared the scrutiny of a full trial, but unable to escape the evidence of his own depravity. Investigators later discovered he had a history of domestic violence, a pattern of behaviour that Ashley, in her innocence, could never have seen coming from across an ocean. On the 10th of October 2022, Jack was sentenced at Chelmsford Crown Court to life in prison with a minimum term of just 23 years and 6 months. Ashley came to England seeking love. Instead, she found a predator. Today, her story serves as a harrowing reminder of how quickly the digital glow of a romance can be extinguished by the very real, very dark shadow of domestic obsession.